This work is necessary for the community. Ain't nobody about to intimidate me to not put out the information for the community. No one. I don't give a damn who you are. Don't you run up on me telling me none of this or whatever. I don't know how you thought that was gonna go. I don't know how anybody, like, I'm gonna fight back. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, okay, you're right. No, go to hell. Right? That's your thought process. Okay. Right? Were you out here in 2021 with the NAACP? Were you there when we was down there crying and shit? Were you there when the whole community was coming together to comfort one another? Were you there? Absolutely not. I keep getting all these calls. There was a forum that was held in North Nashville. You know, we invited everybody out in collaboration, Middle Tennessee National Action Network and Native Street Team. Some of the work we already have been doing. And, you know, we're just really straight chaser, no fluff, really asking the questions the community really wants to hear. We're all about accountability of our elected officials. We center the community and not politicians or government officials. And so, you know, whenever someone is out trying to get your vote or whatever, you know, they like to stick to a script and just kind of give you that versus you really getting to the meat of not only just who they are, but maybe decisions they have made in the past. So you can make an informed decision about whether I want this person to represent me, right? Whether I want them, what I want to be a part of putting them into, you know, office, whatever. Like, you got, you know, it's your right to do that. And so anyway, we're having a forum and I'm co-hosting it. And so now I'm about to give you my personal thought process of what occurred, and basically just kind of like, it's a lot of conversation going on around this, and I just really want to, you know, first of all, give you what actually happened and then, you know, talk about moving forward. So anyway, there was a particular, you know, Ronald Dowdy is running in the race for Division 3 criminal court. That is the one where Cheryl Blackburn was, she retired, and Jim Todd was appointed by the governor to that seat. And then Don Diener, who is the former Metro Public Defender, is also running in that race. So it's three of them. And Ronald Downey is an assistant district attorney. And, you know, many people have had cases with him, different people, you know, whatever. But one case in particular that he had back in 2021 really set the community on fire. And so, give you some context, back in that time, I was legal redress chair. We were really holding people accountable. Like, even so much so, we filed a Metro Human Relations Commission complaint against many individuals around that case. Like, it was a lot, you know. And on the legal redress committee was Joy Kimbrough and a number of other lawyers who were concerned about things going on in Nashville. And you got to remember, this is in the wake of George Floyd, right? This is in the wake of George Floyd. And so, you know, everybody's just real, you know, pro, you know, not harming black people. And on the other side, you got people who are pro black, back in the blue, all these different things. We know how all these cases kind of go. So anyway, Daniel Hambrick was shot by Andrew Delkey, a cop, in the back of his head while he was running away. And, you know, in March of 2021, his family actually received one of the highest settlements in Nashville, $2.25 million. They settled, Metro Nashville settled with the city. So that's one of the highest ones. Like, some of that speaks for itself. It's like, hey, you know, if they're giving you a lot of money to just kind of try and make this go away, then there's credibility to what occurred, right? Period. They're gonna get you to sign and say it's not all those good things, whatever, right? You're not paying if your ass ain't did nothing. That's that. And so then what happens is in July of 2021, they're all set. This case is being litigated for years at this point, and they're set to go to trial on a Monday. There's a victim bill of rights. The victim bill of rights, you're supposed to keep the victim reasonably informed of the things that are going on, all of that. And the victim is deceased. The mother that's her only child, and this is the one, she's the one who's, you know, stepping into the shoes prosecuting. And, you know, it's the reverse. So usually the state is representing or they're prosecuting on behalf of, you know, it's usually not the black person who ends up getting shot in the back of the head by a cop, right? The cop is usually on their side. They're usually helping them prosecute, right? So anyway, everybody was ready, right? We're prepared. We want accountability. We all want a chance to go to this trial. We all want we want the chance to be heard, right? We want the chance for the community to hear exactly what happened and make a determination on what they believe, and especially during that time frame when it was right for that kind of trial, right? Remember, I told you what was going on around that 2020 George Floyd, all that stuff. This was a good time frame to have a trial around a cop killing a black man. And so Anyway, the district attorney's office, which includes Ronald Dowdy, who was on the, team to prosecute, and, they end up giving a deal to Andrew Delkey, the officer, and they give him 3 years. Now they do this, they draft out the paperwork, they go back. I mean, literally they had to, it was a lot of work put into this. So they had been planning this for a while. So, they had ample time to have told Miss Hambrick what occurred. They didn't. They didn't even tell the lawyer, right? They reached out to them on a Thursday, intending to put it in place on a Friday, intending to put the plea in place on a Friday when the trial was set for Monday. And obviously, the community's like, what the fuck? We all show up and pack out that courtroom. Like, hold on, wait a minute, don't go there, because now you didn't include her in it. So, anywho, I'm putting you back in place in 2021, all this going on. Y'all, this man ends up only serving 15 months. He takes this plea. We beg the judge, we begging the district attorney. Everybody is begging. The mama's up there, she's crying. She literally loses it. She goes in. She goes off on how crooked the district attorney's office is. Everything they did. The family is screaming and crying. It's up. Right? And it is, literally one of the saddest days ever. And we all went to the NAACP office after. It was almost like a repast. And we mourned. And we had to comfort one another. And so, this was a big deal in the black community if you were somebody who actually dwells in the community. Okay? So this happens in 2021 in the summer. And then the next year is elections, right? Well, guess what? Baby, the judge who was on this case, who, whatnot, we ran against him. He came up off that bench, right? All right, cool beans. And so now, this goes on. And one big thing is, a lot of us were practicing at that time. I don't practice anymore. I only, do legal education and focus on holding government officials accountable, elected officials, making sure the community is informed of all the things that are going on. And so, especially things that they try to sweep under the rug. And this is one of those things. And so, I've been to all of the forums. I've seen all of them speak at multiple places. And most notably, I think it was early March? I saw Ronald Dowdy speaking at the National Action Network membership community meeting. And when I saw him up there talking, somebody asked him about the Daniel Hambrick case. And when they asked him about the Daniel Hambrick case, he kind of started talking about it, but I think his time ran out. So he couldn't really get into it. And he was like, he kind of mentioned like he didn't get a chance to fully get into it or whatever his thoughts on it. So every forum I went to, just like last time, like these forums are just basic. They ask like questions that lack substance. You know what I mean? Like shit that just really is like, that you already know they're going to say, oh, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like, yeah, whatever. Like, give me some substance, right? Let's get to the heart of what people are actually out here asking and saying, but nobody is actually addressing. And it's so annoying. It's like, I think sometimes it's because they're, yeah, I guess it's because they're not really lawyers. Maybe they don't practice in that realm. I don't know. But like, I don't know, like shit. That ain't enough to vote a criminal court judge in, And so, anyway, that happens or whatever. So, I'm like, all right, cool. We have a forum and we're like, we're going to get community questions. We're really going to let the community ask questions. And we do. We ask some very hard questions that come in for each of the candidates. Ronald Dowdy's, obviously, his really hard question is going to be around Hambrick. And hell, the lawyer for Ms. Hambrick was there. She stayed the entire time. And, she asked a question that everybody wants to know. And so, yes, of course it gets heated, but we're colleagues, right? And especially colleagues who practice criminal defense. We're in the criminal realm, criminal justice realm, and we're on either side of it. It gets heated at times, but we're professionals, right? And so, she asked him a question. It gets a little heated. He's cutting her off. I'm like, hey, I'm a co-host. I'm like, hey, no, we're not going to do that. I take his mic, let her fully ask. And then I let him fully respond. And she, the lawyer for Miss Hambrick, the family, she interjected a little bit. The co-host, Cheryl, took her mic. No, y'all. We're going to let everybody speak, right? Everybody has the right to speak. And we want to let everybody be heard. We were only giving people 30 seconds to respond to questions. I was like, oh, hey, let's give 2 minutes for him to respond. He's like, hey, hell, her question was longer than 2 minutes. And I'm like, hey, you got it. Take all the time you need. There's no time clock anymore. He answered as long as he needed to. She had a follow-up question. She asked him a follow-up question. He answered. Right? They did, like, they're not talking over each other anymore. Whether you like what he had to say, whether you agree with it or not, he held his own. He just answered the questions, right? And I mean, this is the lawyer for Ms. Hambrick, right? Miss Hambrick is not there, nor can she be there in that manner. Like, her mental has deteriorated so much since this occurred, that plea was put in place. She's asking questions on behalf of the community, but also just because as an advocate for her, as an advocate for the family. And, after they've, he's responded, he's fully responded, a follow-up question has been asked. Again, everybody's in here listening because, again, this is like one big thing with the Delkey deal that people are so mad about. It was called a backroom bargain or something of that nature. And so there was a comment that General Ronald Dowdy made talking about, Joy, we can talk about this privately at some point, or like we could talk about this in it, or we can hash it out here. And I was like, well, hey, we all want to hear, it's not just for Joy, it's not just for her. It's not, this was a community grievance, right? This was something that all the people in the community, who are in the community, and they fight inside this community, we mourned together. And so, win or lose, people didn't give a damn. They wanted a trial, right? And so, anywho, that's over. Another question is being asked by someone there, and during that time frame, as soon as Joy Kimbrough for Miss Hambrick gets up to leave, she's walking out. She's saying about a couple people she knows or whatever, and then Ronald Dowdy's wife comes over to Joy and it's like, you're wrong. And so at some point, I guess they have words. You can't really hear what Attorney Kimbrough says. But she doesn't say much. She just kind of gets on, but she does say something back to her. And Flynn, that's her name, Flynn Dowdy, is like, visibly disturbed, after she calls her out for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe asking the question she didn't want her husband to ever be asked or something. I don't know. I'm not sure why she was so mad, but, she confronts Joy, and then, makes it a point to turn around, come back in to confront me, tells me how wrong I am, those questions are biased, or you were biased, you're blah, blah, blah. And it's like, sis, nice at first, because I don't even know this woman. I don't know nothing about her, right? Like, I heard through the grapevine, early on that she was some kind of lawyer somewhere. I don't know, but it damn sure can't be in real trial practice. Can't be in an adversarial position where, I don't know what you do, but it was just, I was so shocked and appalled that, these people are having this debate or whatever. And it's like, I know you've been used to going and maybe seeing these other campaigns, and that's probably what it was. Used to seeing all these little frou-frou campaigns, them asking these very surface level questions, and you never wanted your husband to have to answer for these questions fully, right? And, I don't understand, hey, I get why maybe you don't understand how important it was because you're not from here. So I guess that's it. And, she confronts you. She tells me I'm wrong, you're wrong, and starts yelling at me, and she's bucking and doing all of this. And like, I literally, at one point I was like, damn, like, am I gonna have to fight? I'm about to be 40 years old. I'm a whole lawyer trying to put on just a forum for the community to ask these questions. But like, are you trying to fight these things? That was her energy. And she did that with multiple people. Like, they were holding her back, and it was just so, and I mean, now again, Ronald Dowdy has walked out. Like, he's held his own and he walked out. He handled himself, whatever. Again, if you agree or disagree with him, he left. And after he left, his wife starts coming in there, turning up on people, or attempting to. And, the lawyer's going out there like, hey, your wife's in there confronting people. You might want to go get her. It's so funny. It's comical because you really can't believe this shit happened. But then now that what I got mad was when she confronted Cheryl, and she made Cheryl cry. Cheryl's president of the National Action Network. Cheryl do not play for the community. She go hard for the community. She was very fair. Hell, she took the mic from Joy Kimbrough. I had the mic from him. We both made sure each of them had a proper time. We were just trying to make sure for sure that everybody was able to say what they needed to say, feel seen in her, but still get the questions for the community, right? It's a balance. And so anyway, she tried to confront Cheryl, and she basically telling her, so you're wrong too, and oh wow, this is what Nan does. Like, this girl went crazy. I was so shocked. I was like, whoa, This is hilarious. Like, what is happening right now? Like, it ain't even Dowdy, the one who's running, who's doing this, is his fucking wife acting a fool during his campaign. Sis, are you crazy? Are you crazy? You don't do that during nobody's campaign. Oh my God. So anyway, yeah, she did. She talked crazy to Cheryl. You know, Cheryl takes her work very seriously, and she started in for the ground up. It has a, you know, it does great work in the community. And for her to try to slander them, and, you know, she was just mad. She was lashing out at everyone. And, you know, it was some people there who had heard her earlier talk about how she was pregnant, or someone, they heard that she was pregnant, you know. And so, but hell, I didn't know none of this until after all of that, and how she was booking and doing all that. You would never know she was pregnant. But she was, you know, apparently, I guess that's supposed to be the justification. Maybe she is, I don't know, emotional. I don't know. You know, I don't know. Nor do I care. Then people are telling me, oh, she's young, blah, blah. I don't know, nor do I care. That was out of pocket. Highly unprofessional. Like, highly unprofessional. Sis, had you just let the attorney for Daniel Hambrick's family, right, who knows the case in and out, who is an advocate for the community, right, who's over in that district, is a councilman of the district. I mean, this is someone who is freaking a native, lifelong resident, and a fighter for the community. She asked questions that the community wanted to know. We were on the legal redress team. We fought it during this. We were asking those questions then too. And so when somebody runs, that's the perfect opportunity to ask them these very hard questions before we just put them in office. That's not how it works here. It might be how it works where you're from, right? It don't work like that here. Here in Nashville, we're gonna hold you accountable. I don't know if that's gonna, I don't know, maybe, you know, nucking and bucking, I don't know, you know, maybe that's how, you know, y'all get elected. I don't know. But so anyway, I don't care about any of that. This work is necessary for the community. Ain't nobody about to intimidate me to not put out the information for the community. No one. I don't give a damn who you are. Don't you run up on me telling me none of this or whatever. I don't know how you thought that was gonna go. I don't know how anybody, like, I'm gonna fight back. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, okay, you're right. No, go to hell. Right? That's your thought process. Okay. Okay. Right? Were you out here in 2021 with the NAACP? Were you there when we was down there crying and shit? Were you there when the whole community was coming together to comfort one another? Were you there? Absolutely not. Right? So maybe recognize that you only have one side of view. Maybe you have this opinion, but you're not rooted in this community in that way. And so to approach pillars in this community who fight for this community, have well known and come at us like, I don't know, girl, like some street girl or something. I don't know what you was on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we won't do that. Not in that environment, you know? So I don't know what people are telling you. I don't know what maybe you've heard about me that made you feel that, you know, you can run up on me any type of way. Please don't, you know, keep that within your team. Because what happened is they probably been talking a lot of shit about me and whoever else, right? And so you got pumped up and thought it was cool to come talk shit to me. Maybe you thought you was Big Bad Wolf, right? Nah, that's how campaigns run. They're going to talk shit and it's going to be quiet. And when we get in, you know, they're going to get in your face, and what they're going to do, they're going to be friends. They're going to be, oh, hey, girl, how you doing? It's all going to be that fake stuff, because Nashville's all that respectability politics, right? Because when you do exactly what you just did in that type of way, Anywho, go see for yourself. Y'all go watch the forums for yourself and, you know, make your own determination. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like any kind of resolution comes without confrontation. We gotta wake up. Like, I'm sorry, like, I didn't come out here. Anything I do, anything that I'm doing, I'm coming to make sure the community gets real information. Real information. I'm not about to doctor it to make someone look good. I'm not about to sit here and pretend that something has to be what it isn't, right? So people can feel comfortable, right? No. Politicians, elected officials need to be uncomfortable. They need to feel uncomfortable. They need to feel like, hey, we owe the community a response. We have to answer for whatever we do up in here. If we want to come out, because the thing is, when you're inside of, you're just a government official, you got hired to be in that job. So whatever decisions you made in that realm, right? When you come out and you want to be elected, you got to answer for that stuff. You worked for us when you made those decisions. I did not like those decisions. I want to know why, right? Talk to the community and then let the community decide, hey, if we are over it, or hey, well, you know, it's fine, you know, whatever. Oh, I think, you know, what you did. Oh, yeah, but, you know, I think you'll make a good judge. I don't know. I don't know what people are going to feel. But at the end of the day, people have the right, and I'll be doing a breakdown and assessment on all the candidates soon. Like, I've been going to all the forums, right, including the one I hosted. I'm going to go to the other ones that are coming up. Like, after I hear them on every platform, I'm just going to assess them. Right. And I'm just like I do everybody else. Like, I did a deep dive and breakdown on the councilman. Like, I don't care. Whatever it is that's going on in this community that affects us, I'm going to report on. Right. And so I'm answering this because I've been getting so many calls about this. So many people asking what's going on, what happened. You know, they were either there. It's circulating, baby, because Nashville is a small town. It's big, but it's small. Right. And so, yeah, I guess when you come to this city, maybe learn the city first before you just start turning up on people.